Alright, welcome back to Got Fuels Model Car Garage. In this video I'm going to try to explain what to use and when to use it in Createx colors. Their paints, their candies, their reducers, their additives, how much. I've seen the people on Facebook groups having some problems with their mix, and I just want to show everybody what I do and how I do it, and what additives and reducers to use with what paints. Alright, so here you see their balancing clear, their UVLS clear, and their reducers 4011, 4012, and 4013. Now it's simply on the bottle. Now let me say this real quick. They have transferred their Wicked line into a new resin. So to make sure that you don't have the old or the new resin, you will probably find mixing instructions on the side for the reducer and the adding balancing clear or UVLS. You can use either one. All the new Wicked colors have the same resin in it as the UVLS clears. So all you have to do is reduce it if you want to reduce it. Okay, so basically the UVLS 4050s, and there's a 4050, this is 4050 gloss, there's a 4051 and a 4052, and I believe it's 4051 matte and 4052 flat. They've got a new 4053 that's high gloss. Don't have it yet, it's not in the stores. I can't wait to get my hands on it because I want to try it on like the Alclads and the Spastex chromes. Alright, so this can be used as a replacement for the 4030 when you're using it as an additive in a paint. They do recommend the 4050, especially in the metallics and the pearls, because it's a better carrier than the 4030, but this will work just fine in an airbrush. Put those to the side. Their main recommended reducer is the 4011 in all of their paints and base and their sealers. And they got a full color line of sealers too. I just don't have any sitting right here with me. This is their main recommended reducer, 4011, throughout their entire paint line. Now with your candies and pearls and metallics, never use this. This is 4012. They might find a bottle that has use it, but it is no longer recommended. See, this says dilute with 4012, but it also says apply straight from the bottle or thin with 4011. Then down here it says 4012. Never use 4012 with candy, pearls, and metallics. It seeds the paint. I know a lot of y'all have heard me talk about it before, but it basically creates dark spots in the paint. I've never seen it with a candy, but I have definitely seen it in the pearls. Just small, tiny little specks of black spots. They are no longer manufacturing this, but it's still on the shelf. It doesn't meet clean air protocol, so it's been discontinued as far as production goes. The 4013 is the replacement for the 4012. I haven't used it yet, but they say it really helps the paint lay down a lot smoother. Okay, and this, I would only use this in your standard colors, non-metallic pearls, and the sealers. That's the only thing I would use the 4012 in. This should be able to be used across all lines, although they haven't really said it in any of their videos, let's put it that way. As of today, they still say 4011 is the go-to. There is another automotive, I forgot the number, is it 4020 I think, but it's called their automotive reducer. They have never ever mentioned it in any of their videos, especially any of the last 2 years or so. All they mentioned, they used to talk about the 4012 and they stopped mentioning it in 4011. So this is pretty much all I use anyways. I will put it in my standard paints and my sealers. It's just gonna decrease your dry time a little bit. It'll dry up a little faster. Okay, now mixing. I probably should have got a bottle of paint. I got a lot of. I got a really big bottle of what is this? Wicked Pearl Yellow, and this was given to me free because one of these went lumpy on me, so they sent me this free. All right. You do not have to do it this way, but I highly recommend a food scale, especially if you have one on hand. You're going to set it to gram. 1 gram is slightly less than 1 mil. And being we are mixing paints in such small amounts that when I first started mixing Createx, I was being really careful. And then I got confident. And my paint looked like crap. Then I said, I'm going to go back to the basics. And I pulled out the food scale that I had. This keeps it more precise. And I truly haven't had any problems since I've been using a food scale. So I recommend a food scale. What you want though is a food scale that goes 0.01. So it'd be 1/10, 1/100th, and that's of a gram. So for the purpose of the video, we're going to mix some and it's going to hit the trash. So their mixing ratio says 10% of 40/30 and 10% of, here on this bottle here it says 40/12, but it also up here says 40/11. For the purpose of this video, we are going to use the correct stuff too, 40/11, because I got plenty of that. Or do I have plenty of 40/12? No, I got plenty of 40/12, so we're going to use 40/12. I got a bunch of that. All right, so always give it a good mix, good shaking. So is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go make it simple. I'm going to make it simple. Most of us are going to use between 10 and 15 milliliters to paint a body. But I'm not going to go that much. That being said, if you want 10 milliliters, you probably need to make about 12 grams, and so on and so forth. So if you want 15 milliliters, you're probably going to need to mix like 17 or 18 grams. I even use this. I use Automotive 2K, so I use this to mix my Automotive 2K. Gives me a much more precise measurement than trying to use droppers. So I use the droppers to get it out and put it in here, but I quit trying to find a 2 milliliter and 2 milliliter, 2 milliliter a bunch of times. I can just squeeze it and drop it in here. So let's just go 5. And as you can see, this paint straight out of the bottle is pretty thick. But I know for a fact, because I have done it, I've sprayed this paint with a 0.5 needle nozzle directly from the bottle. It will spray directly from the bottle. A little thinning would help. So We got here roughly 5 grams. So we'll tear it out and we'll add 0.5. And just so you see how much this is, that's mainly the purpose of this, is to see how very little. See the white in there? 10% is a lot less than you think it is. All right, so now we take the full mix, roughly 5.5 mil, and then we'll add 0.55 reducible. So that's good enough. Turn this off. Give it a mix. Mix it real good. And as you can see, don't even listen to people that say the thickness of milk. No, not Createx. You saw how thick it was when it come out of this bottle. It will spray. Createx doesn't like to be skim milk thick. It will run like crazy on you, especially if you're spraying out of a 0.5 needle nozzle. Now, if you're spraying out of a 0.3, you might want to take this a tad further, but this is for what I would use it for. It's perfect. This is just the perfect consistency of what I would look for if I was going to paint this on a body right now. So yeah, I would be happy, very happy spraying that. All right, now let's talk about prep. How do I prep a body for Createx? Where is it? I always get ahead of myself in these videos. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, I found what I'm looking for. All right, so body prep. This is the red burgundy scoring pads, like a Brillo pad. I buy these in a bigger sheet from your automotive parts store. Just any Advance, O'Reilly's, anything like that should carry it. And I just cut 1-inch squares until I use it all up. You don't have to get aggressive with your prep. And what I mean by that is, after you've done your panel lines, after you've gotten rid of your mold lines, you don't have to scrub it hard. All you want to do is use the pad and lightly rub it and get the sheen off of it. That's all you want to do. Or say 600 or 800 grit sandpaper is all you need. Then wash the body thoroughly and with Dawn dishwashing liquid and soap and water, and let it dry. You're ready to paint. Now you can spray this paint directly to plastic with no problem, especially if you're using the additive, because that's what the additives are for. They create a stronger bond. They turn their paints into their acrylic paints into an acrylic urethane, and then it can be used. These two additives can be used throughout their entire line of paints, unless it's the new ones that I don't have any of, but I'm assuming it won't have the 40-30 on the side of the bottle. It'll just have reduced with 40-11. Now, primer. I prep the same way. Scuff it up and prime it. But if you prime it, you're gonna have to scuff it again because this paint won't bond to primer. I don't recommend priming unless you're going to use one of their sealers, which is technically a primer. And the reason for that is because you're going to sand through some spots, and then you're going to have dark and light spots in your paint. So to keep it consistent, and if you're not going to use a sealer, a color keyed sealer, like say yellow and yellow, or black. I just recently done a pearl yellow over a black base, and it's gorgeous. If you color key, which means use a yellow sealer with a yellow paint, you're going to get better coverage, and it's going to cover faster. You're going to need less of the more expensive paint. The sealers are relatively cheap. So that's how I do my body prep, what I use for my body prep. If you do get some trash in it, if there's some trash in your paint, just let it dry. You can throw it in a dehydrator for 10-15 minutes, or let it sit for about an hour, hour and a half. Make sure it's good and dry. And then take you some 600 grit sandpaper, hit that spot, and then just lightly hit it again with some paint, very lightly. If you want to, if it's really bad, you want to sand the whole thing, that's fine. Then hit another little light coat of paint on it, but dry sand it. Remember, it's a water-based paint. Ain't no wet sanding it. So I hope this helps anybody that comes across it looking for how to use Createx and mix it. If you stick with this, especially on a 0.5 needle nozzle, you'll have great results. One other thing I wanted to mention. I just recently picked up 190 micron strainers, paint strainers, and that's what Createx recommends. After you mix it, you can pour it through a strainer into another cup, and then that cup you can rinse it out and use it again. So they recommend, and now I'm going to start, I haven't been doing it, but I'm going to start straining my Createx 190 micron. That's what they recommend throughout their pearl and flake lines, except for their, what is it, the hot rod sparkle. It's too big, it won't go through the 190. So that's all we got. Thank you all for watching.